Good evening and welcome to All 24 Nightly News. Coming to you live from Algiers, I'm your host, Karim Fazakari, and up next are the top stories. Libya's search for missing individuals and flood victims intensifies as death toll climbs to more than 11,000. Also in our news, Moroccan earthquake caused billions in losses and victims endure second week of isolation and aid delays. Also ahead, Algeria pledges commitment to Arab financial stability during bank governors' meeting. You'll be following as well. Settler incursions at Al-Aqsa Mosque trigger clashes as Palestinian ministry cautions against escalation in Al-Quds. And more than 500 illegal immigrants were rescued off Italian coast in 24 hours as European Commission President is urging solidarity, while Tunisia is launching anti-smuggling campaign. Hello again and thank you for joining us. First off in our news, the UN revealed that floods in Derna, eastern Libya, have resulted in a death toll of 11,300 people, with over 10,000 missing. Additionally, 170 lives were lost in other parts of eastern Libya, and approximately 40,000 people have been displaced in the north of the country. The United Nations anticipates that the death toll may further increase as search and rescue operations continue. The Libyan Red Crescent, however, has denied these numbers, expressing concern that such figures are causing confusion and distress among families of the missing. The United Nations had initially attributed these numbers to the Libyan Red Crescent. In the same context, survivors were found beneath the rubble in Derna a week after devastating floods. A video on social media displayed the rescue of an 11-member family from a collapsed house, involving international relief teams and Libyan volunteers. Search efforts for missing individuals persist amid concerns of potential epidemics due to decomposing bodies and water pollution. The National Unity Government in Tripoli declared a year-long state of emergency in eastern regions. Let's get more updates with Osama Ayadi.
A week after a massive wall of water wreaked havoc in Derna, Libya sending thousands to their deaths, the focus now centers on caring for survivors. Among the harrowing stories reported by Libyan media, one family of 11 miraculously emerged from the rubble of their demolished home.
My nephew came to rescue his relative and aunt from the ground floor, but the poor man drowned. We were able to survive. Thank God. I was able to rescue my mother and sister.
International rescue teams are doubling their effort amid piles of wreckage left by the floods. Both Libyan and international volunteers show unwavering dedication and persist despite the tragic aftermath.
As a Libyan, when I pull out bodies, I swear I cry. I can't handle it, but it is God's will. So you have to hold up and pull out the body. There was a body that was divided into two parts, right before us. There is nothing to do but pull out the body. What can you do? These young men have come all the way from Tripoli, which is 1,500 kilometers away.
Sunday's sunrise unveiled a scene of somber devastation, with roads flanked by piles of rubble and twisted metal, including the remnants of cars. Reports indicate that many bodies were swept out to sea, and over 1,000 have already been laid to rest in mass graves.
We were able to pull out 18 bodies yesterday, and we rescued a family of a woman and 2 daughters. But unfortunately, the husband was found dead. The search is a bit difficult because we are searching for bodies at sea. It was hard for us, but thank God.
In Derna, entire districts housing an estimated 120,000 people were either swept away or buried in mud. Shockingly, at least 891 buildings lay in ruins, with the mayor suggesting a potential death toll of 20,000. Despite the perilous conditions in some parts of Derna, rescuers continue to demonstrate unwavering solidarity and sacrifice in their search and rescue operations throughout the region.
In the same context, the UN's Abdullah Bathili described the heartbreaking devastation in flood-hit Derna, eastern Libya, in a tweet. He witnessed the tragic aftermath during his visit, with thousands dead or missing. Bathili left Derna deeply saddened by the destruction to lives and property, stressing that the crisis surpasses Libya's capacity to handle and goes beyond politics and borders.
We came here today to look on what is going on the ground, of course to meet with people, the survivors, those who are affected directly with this disaster, and also to interact with our teams on the ground. We are in an emergency, we have to go and to see them so that they will tell us what needs to be done.
Still with Libya, Algerian rescue teams are tirelessly working to extract survivors from debris, locate missing individuals, and retrieve bodies in Derna. The Algerian General Directorate of Civil Defense reported that they have already recovered 72 bodies from the rubble. This operation involves a team of 113 disaster specialists, along with humanitarian aid for food-affected communities, or flood-affected communities, all transported through an air bridge. Moving on, in Algeria, the General Directorate of Civil Defense has successfully extinguished 41 out of 59 fires across 11 provinces nationally. They continue firefighting efforts despite challenging weather conditions, including strong winds that contribute to the fire's rapid spread. A video from Civil Defense Services highlights firefighting aircraft in action in the Boulimat area of Bijaya province. Following the September 8th earthquake in Morocco, many affected villages remained isolated with scarce emergency aid, depleted food and water supplies. The U.S. Geological Survey predicts Rabat will face significant economic losses amounting to about 8% of its GDP, with material losses estimated between 1 to 9 billion euros, equivalent to 8% of Rabat's 2022 GDP of approximately 134 billion US dollars. Let's get more on the situation in this report.
In the aftermath of the devastating earthquake that shook Al Hoceima region in Morocco, an overwhelming sense of despair has gripped the hearts of its residents. The anguish in this lady's tearful expression is but a reflection of collective agony that now engulfs these afflicted lands.
We're lost. I can't carry on like this. I swear.
The word loss hardly begins to encapsulate the sheer devastating experience by those who have been stripped of their homes, their loved ones, and the very fabric of their existence. It's a narrative that resonates across the board.
You saw the damage in Mullah Ibrahim. The houses are destroyed. Others are uninhabitable. Everyone went out and took refuge in tents. Even though we have received tents from the authorities, there are not enough. There are too many people.
This elderly man now moves through what was once a thriving home, reduced to rubble overnight. Yesterday it was a sanctuary filled with the dreams of the family that dared to hope for a brighter future.
I live 16 kilometers from here in Shaddin town. I also lost my house. There is nowhere we can store our goods. We put everything in tents, and that is where my children are too. I'm not going to the other house again because it's all destroyed like this garage.
As the cold season looms, survivors are left to ponder their life in the wake of sluggish government response and the crisis management systems in disarray. The stark reality is that the most villages in this unforgiving terrain now lie in ruins.
We're now thinking about the coming winter. The rain lasts a long time here, and the weather conditions are very harsh. It's very cold, it's snowing, and the roads are closed.
Amid these dire humanitarian conditions, the royal palace stands resolute, restricting aid to a select few nations. Astonishingly, even the United Nations finds itself in a state of limbo, waiting for requests for assistance from Moroccan authorities. These are challenging times indeed, as noted by Martin Griffiths, the Deputy Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs.
In Algeria-related news, Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman reaffirmed Algeria's unwavering commitment to maintaining financial and monetary stability in the Arab region. Speaking at the 47th annual meeting of central bank governors and Arab monetary institutions, he emphasized Algeria's support for initiatives aimed at enhancing economic growth and the well-being of Arab citizens. Here's Zahra Farjani with more details.
In the capital Algiers, Algeria hosted the 47th session of the Council of Arab Central Banks Governors and Monetary Agencies at the International Conference Center Abdelatif Rahal. While supervising the opening of the meeting, Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman expressed Algeria's unwavering commitment to fostering financial and monetary stability in the Arab region, supporting all endeavors to promote economic growth.
لقد ساندت الجزائر دائما ودوما.
Algeria has always supported financial and monetary stability in the Arab region, and our commitment to these principles will remain steadfast because we firmly believe that the economy is the cornerstone of sustainable development. It is necessary in this constantly changing world characterized by unprecedented economic challenges to work together to enhance financial stability, promote economic growth, and improve the quality of life in the Arab citizen.
نوعية حياة المواطن مواطننا العربي.
Algerian Prime Minister called for developing and expanding the Buna platform initiated by the Arab Monetary Fund in 2018 as a mechanism for joint Arab action aiming to enhance Arab cooperation and bolster payment infrastructure.
لا يفوتني أن أغتنم هذه الفرصة لأعرب عن اعتزازنا.
We are proud of the Arab Monetary Fund's Buna platform completed in 2018 in accordance with international standards, principles, and requirements in the global banking market as a joint Arab action that would contribute to improving the payment infrastructure in the Arab world and facilitate commercial exchanges.
التجارية والاستثمارية.
During his speech, bin Abdurrahman highlighted Algeria's anticipated trade balance surplus this year, despite a drop in fuel prices compared to last year.
الجزائر رغم مختلف الأزمات التي مر بها العالم.
Algeria is witnessing remarkable developments in terms of macroeconomic and financial indicators as the GDP reached $233 billion in 2022 and the average per capita GDP reached $5,187 of the same year. Algerian trade balance in 2022 achieved a surplus of $26 billion and it's expected to continue achieving a surplus in 2023 despite the decline in fuel prices compared to 2022.
أسعار المحروقات مقارنة بسنة 22.
For the participants of the 47th Council of Arab Central Banks Governors and Monetary Agencies, this gathering served an opportunity to emphasize the pivotal role of central banks and Arab monetary institutions in promoting cooperation and knowledge exchange among Arab nations in the banking sector.
Algeria's gas exports have reached their highest levels since 2016. Data from the energy-focused British magazine Meals revealed a 12-year high in Algerian gas exports to Italy, their largest market. This increase reflects Sonatrach Group's commitment to Eni by boosting shipments to Italy. The magazine anticipates further growth in Algeria's natural gas production, particularly with the upcoming development phase in southwest fields and increased recovery of burnt gas at production sites. To the Middle East now, Zionist forces cleared Al-Aqsa Mosque in preparation for settlers' incursion during the Hebrew New Year, sparking concerns from Palestinian authorities. Sheikh Mohammed Hussein, the Grand Mufti of Al-Aqsa, condemned extremist settlers' entry, asserting Al-Aqsa's status as a Muslim endowment. He warned of global Muslim sentiment being affected and called for resistance against actions limiting mosque access. These incursions are seen as part of broader efforts to change the reality around Al-Quds and its holy mosque, and the Palestinian resistance is also warning of a military response if this persists. Still with Palestine news, the Palestinian Foreign Ministry cautioned on this context on Sunday that Zionist entities' ongoing impunity fuels further crimes against Palestinians, their land and holy sites. They condemned violations and crimes by Zionist forces, citizens, or against the Palestinian citizens and their property, particularly citing the provocative incursions into Al-Aqsa Mosque with military protection. Still with the Middle East, Iran this time defended its decision to restrict more UN nuclear inspectors. The Iranian Foreign Ministry expressed regret over the Board of Governors of the International Atomic Energy Agency being used for political goals by European countries and the US. Iran excluded a third of experienced IAEA inspectors following an initiative from the US, UK, France and Germany. The UN's IAEA Director General, Rafael Grossi, criticized this as a unilateral, disproportionate and unprecedented action affecting inspection activities in Iran, calling on Iran to reconsider. This move is allowed under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, but impacts the agency's inspection effectiveness. Still with the same file, the European Union has urged Iran to avoid revoking the accreditation of several international atomic energy agency inspectors, deeming the action concerning. The EU expressed deep concern over Iran's decision, emphasizing its direct and significant impact on the agency's ability to conduct verification activities, including monitoring the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the 2015 International Agreement on Iran's nuclear program, that is. To other topical news now. During a visit to Lampedusa, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni sought European solidarity in handling the migrant influx. At the same time, Tunisian security forces are launching a major operation against human smugglers to curb the flow of migrants. Let's follow the report.
The fate of these migrants who arrived in the Italian island of Lampedusa is still unknown as to whether they are going to be detained or deported back to their homeland. Their shared harsh circumstances forced them to cross the Mediterranean toward European coasts in search of a better living condition. Yet this constantly gave European countries a major headache as the influx of illegal migrants kept on rising. In response, the President of the EU Commission arrived to Italy after calls from the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni to act against the surge. During a press conference held on the occasion, von der Leyen underscored that it is the European authorities who decide who comes to the European Union and under what circumstances, and not people smugglers.
And I want to be very clear. We have an obligation as part of the international community. We have fulfilled it in the past and we will do so today and in the future. But we will decide who comes to the European Union and under what circumstances, and not the smugglers and traffickers.
Meanwhile, Giorgia Meloni stressed the need for Europe to tackle future big challenges, citing illegal migration as one of them.
Qui è in gioco il futuro che l'Europa vuole darsi.
What is at stake here is the future that Europe wants to set for itself, because the future of Europe depends on the ability that Europe has to tackle the huge, massive challenges that lie ahead for us, and illegal immigration is certainly one of these challenges.
During their visit to Lampedusa, von der Leyen and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni were faced by local protests over the burden facing the island. One of the residents said the meeting must be decisive and must ensure the whole system has a definitive turning point.
We saw people suffering, children without parents. Maybe this is the part that hurts me the most, because you can arrive naked without clothes, and this we can recover from. But when a 4 to 5-year-old arrives alone, without parents, this is when the heart really breaks into two. Therefore, today's meeting must be decisive and ensure that this whole machine, this whole system has a definitive turning point. Otherwise, the situation will not improve.
Since the beginning of this year, approximately 126,000 migrants have arrived in Italy, almost double the figure by the same date in 2022. Lampedusa has recently borne the brunt, with thousands of landings this week, even more than the island's population itself. This comes as Tunisia is deploying great efforts to seek its international agreements to curb the flood of illegal immigration towards Europe.
And related to the same story, Doctors Without Borders announced that their rescue ship, the Gio Prentice, is bringing 471 migrants to Brindisi, Italy, following 11 rescue operations in the Mediterranean Sea over 20 hours. The Italian Coast Guard also conducted 4 additional rescue operations during this time. Among the migrants on board, 205 are children. The UN Secretary General highlights the need to reform the outdated international financial system to support sustainable development goals and ensure adequate resources for developing countries to achieve their objectives.
Today spends more money servicing the debt than in education. So this shows how much we need to transform an unfair international global system to make sure that the Sustainable Development Goals become a reality.
The Group of 77 plus China summit in Havana, leaders called for unity against wealthy nations and the establishment of a fair global economic order. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva emphasized the need to address digital technology and energy transformation during the fourth industrial revolution. Cuban President, for his part, Miguel Díaz-Canel, presiding over the group, advocated changing international economic rules seen as detrimental to the progress of southern countries.
It seems as if all the historical, political, geopolitical conditions are converging so that our people, the people of the South, can raise our flags of independence and sovereignty in this 21st century and be able to stay and end the 21st century as the century of the free people, without empires, without colonies.
During Brazil's presidency of the G20, we'll propose the creation of a science, technology and innovation work group to leverage the developing nations' interests in those fields. In New Delhi, we were part of the launch of a global alliance for biofuels. Our objective is to show within the context of energetic transition the potential of bioenergy.
We reached the end of our program. For more updates, check our social media channels. Thank you for watching and goodbye.